The purpose of this video tutorial is to demonstrate how to set up the chart properties on an ExtendSim plot. This particular example is a line chart, but what I'm showing you here will work on the other types of plots as well. So notice here that we have no legend associated with this chart, and we have the default title of chart. So we'd like to change those default values. So to do that, we click on the chart, and there's two things we're going to be using: trace editor and graph properties. So first I'm going to go over the graph properties, which I got here again by right-clicking. Okay, so here I can enter in the titles. Now, this is going to be degradation over time. And then the X value is actually time. The Y value is going to be, for the first Y value is going to be a percentage. And then the second Y value trace is going to be on, off for the trigger. Okay, now in order to get the legend to actually show, notice here, these are not actually the legends. These are the axes labels. To get the legend to show up, however, you have to click on this checkbox. Now, once we do that, notice that we have the axes labels have been changed, and we have the legend up there, but unhelpfully it says trace 1. So we want to change that. We need to, again, right-click and then go to the trace editor. So in the trace editor, we can control several things that are helpful. One is the actual labels. So rather than having the named connection, notice that that name defaults to any named connection that we used. That probably isn't helpful. So that's actually going to be our on-off trace, and then trace 1. Trace 1 is then going to be the degradation. Trace 2, now we don't have a trace 2 and 3 here, so we can turn these off entirely. And notice that they aren't showing up, but if we had them on there and we didn't want them, we can turn the traces on or off individually. We can also control that this being, notice that this now shows up with one axis or the other. So we can actually have two y-axes, so we can show two different scales on the same plot, which is kind of handy if you have two different things that happen to be of different scales, and then it's difficult to see what you have going. The other thing you can do is control whether you're showing points or interpolation or stepwise. So to see the difference better, I'm going to go ahead and turn this both so that we're seeing the same thing, so that we can see the degradation a little bit better. So we can see the difference between the stepped, dots, or interpolated. Okay, then turning the two traces off so that we're not seeing those, and then that sets up the graph a little bit more suitable for putting into reports and so forth.